Hallo zusammen, I'm your vlog Dave, and if you think this looks, well, slightly different than usual, well, that is true because I'm growing a beard a little bit longer than usual because, I thought I'm in self-isolation, home office right now, so why not? And second, you might have noticed that it's really more real than before. Which is because I'm filming in 50 FPS from now on. Anyway, it's the final song. We have reached the last one. Maybe one of the best songs on the album, if you ask me. I'm talking about Hallo Mann from or off the self-titled 7th studio album by Rammstein, which was released last year. I've already talked about all the other tracks before, so this is the last video about this album lyric-wise. Let's actually dive into the track and, well, let's find out what makes it special. An interesting mixture of eeriness and fascinatingism. Does that exist? I don't know. Let's go. The title Hallo Mann, veterans of the German language might have noticed it already, is very typical for the German language, yet not at all at the same time. But how can that be? Well, it's typical in terms of its linguistic structure. It's a compound word, which is very, very, very typical for lots of words in German. The two parts are the neutral, usual greeting Hallo, German version of hello basically, and the masculine noun der Mann, singular, die Männer, plural, the man. So it means hello man in English. It's not a superhero though, far from it actually. Let's dive into the first verse to find out more. Hallo kleines Mädchen, wie geht es dir? Mir geht es gut. Sprich nicht zu mir. Steig einfach ein, ich nehm dich mit. Und kauf dir Muscheln mit Pommes frites. Es ist schon warm und du bist schön und hast das Meer noch nicht gesehen. Du bist alleine, ich ganz allein. Sprich nicht zu mir, steig einfach ein. In a way, the lyrics are pretty self-explanatory in both the original German and my translated English version, which doesn't make them less strong or interesting though. Here, the lyrical eye basically explains what they're gonna do, and, well, it's a mixture of things they are doing at the moment and other things they would like to go after in the near future, pretty much wishes. Der Wunsch, singular, die Wünsche, plural, the wish, and fantasies. Die Fantasie, singular, die Fantasien, plural. Even though the lyrics are pretty obvious, we can also say that the lyrical eye at least has to be 18 years of age. Well, why are you asking? At 18 years of age you're considered an adult in Germany, which is der Erwachsene, singular, die Erwachsenen, plural, which means you're allowed to drive a car on your own and you don't have to drive, along with, for instance, a parent of yours, which is possible from the age of 17. It has to be a specific person, by the way. And at the age of 18, you're also allowed to drink any kind of liquor, alcohol. And at the age of 16, you're allowed to drink light alcohol, such as beer or wine. The inflected adjective kleines, from klein, little, in line 1 also implies a considerable age gap between the girl in question and the lyrical eye. We can't say for sure, but it's very likely that the lyrical eye is some kind of a child molester. Der Kinderschänder, singular, die Kinderschänder, plural, and on top of that, a kidnapper. Der Entführer, singular, die Entführer, plural. However, we don't know the sex or gender of that person. Could be a man, could be a woman, who knows? They have a distinct plan to lure the girl into their vehicle. Doesn't have to be a car, but could also be a truck or something else. The separated conjugated verb steig ein, meant as die Aufforderung, singular, die Aufforderungen, plural, the demand or order, is typical and quite specifically used for getting into a car or some similar vehicle. The so-called Lockmittel, das Lockmittel singular, die Lockmittel plural, the bait, also commonly used as der Köder singular, die Köder plural, especially for fishing, is almost stereotypical for this kind of behavior. In this case, it's both food, das Essen, which only exists in singular, and Wünsche, for instance to see the ocean or the sea for the first time. Certain lines almost seem conflicting at first glance, for instance line 2. Mir geht es gut. Sprich nicht zu mir. Oh, I'm doing fine. Don't talk to me. Okay. What's interesting about this line is that it features the same personal pronoun, yet from two different perspectives. Mir. Me. It would even get translated differently in English, as you can see. Mir is the dative singular personal pronoun, and it's also a self-reflexive pronoun. It refers to yourself as opposed to someone else, yet you can use it in exclamatory sentences or demands, as it's the case in the second half of the line. The lyrical I asks or even demands that the girl doesn't approach or talk to them, so in the first half it's a statement about yourself, I'm doing fine, whereas the second part approaches the girl, don't talk to me. A different yet similar scenario can be found in line 7, even though here we would use different personal pronouns in German. Ich, I, and du, you. The chorus to Hallo Mann goes like this. Sing für mich, komm sing, Perle auf dem Ring, tanz für mich und dann kommt zu dir der Hallo Mann. Very concise and short. The request come from common to come is similar to come on or get on. I'd say there's a certain variety referring to how polite this come could be meant or interpreted, as a pretty aggressive, unfriendly order or even as a friendly request. In this particular case, we don't have a clear, indication for this being meant overly friendly though, also because there's no term like bitte, please, or similar words that accompany it. The second line is pretty cryptic to me actually, but in a really abstract way. The ring, pretty much in the tradition of Lord of the Rings and the like, could be seen as a symbol of power and superiority over another person, binding them pretty much, which would also make the girl the mentioned pearl. It might also be mentioned to show that the girl might have a curious interest in the ring and especially the pearl, which might also have led to her being lured into the car. Both the image and context, which were foreshadowed in the first verse, are now underlined even more. This also continues in the second verse. Die Sonne scheint uns auf den Bauch. Sag einfach nichts und mach es auch. Gib mir dein Wort, nimm meine Hand. Wir bauen was Schönes aus Haut und Sand. Nichts wird danach wie früher sein. Sprich nicht zu mir, steig einfach ein. Interestingly enough, this verse is shorter than the first one. Also interestingly enough, as you might have noticed, there are two samey words in both languages that rhyme equally well. They only differ in the verbalization. The lyrical I once again indicates what they want to do, but only subtly or slightly. They make use of heavy euphemisms. Der Euphemismus, which is the technical term, the linguistic term, or die Beschönigung, which is the more common or colloquial word. I especially love the intonation, the phrasing of the last line, because it really begins low, sprich nicht zu mir, and then it gets higher, which is a really cool contrast, just like within a few seconds actually. I really like that. Not really expected either. Like, I didn't see that coming when I listened to that song for the first time, I don't think, and I was pleasantly surprised. And it also reminds me of, I wouldn't say classical singing, of course, but like singing in theaters, for instance. Really expressive intonation. And that totally fits the point here. Line 4 also shows that the lyrical I pretty much desires to, touch the girl. And this could be seen as sort of a turning point, getting from words and wishes to, a physical connection that's desired here. Then the chorus enters with a tonal climax, if you want to call it like that. Sing für mich, komm sing, Perle auf dem Ring, tanz für mich, komm tanz, blondes Haar und Rosenkranz. The last line refers to the looks of the girl and also to the so-called Rosenkranz, der Rosenkranz, which translates to the rose wreath literally, and it actually means rosary or chaplet, which in some way or another also could imply that, it's a seeming sense of innocence, faith and the lyrical I essentially doing something against religious beliefs, and not caring about them, not having morals or an own belief that would prevent them from doing all this, which gets expressed by simply harming others, kidnapping and the like. Maybe in the sense of faith won't help you, or prayers won't help you. The very last part of the song we haven't really talked about before in some way or another is the final short chorus. Sing für mich, komm sing, frag nicht nach dem Sinn. Sing für mich und dann auf den Wellen dein Gesang. Especially lines 2 and 4 are special here, I think. The second one really expresses the lyrical eye's wish to be able to pursue their fantasies without anything or anyone stopping them. They aren't even interested in explaining their deed. The last line is a bit enigmatic and open, and we can't really say for sure what it actually refers to, I don't think. But to me, and I know that sounds really hard to say, but it almost seems to me as if the lyrical eye intends to kill the girl and then drop her body into the ocean or the sea, which could imply that all of this might take place near a bigger lake or even a big sea, which would also fit the ending and also the beginning of the song, the reference we have heard in the first verse. Und hast das Meer noch nicht gesehen, and haven't seen the sea yet, which then again could also mean that all of this was well planned beforehand and nothing spontaneous. The ending or outro of the song is a beautiful short instrumental sequence with a high, light female or childish voice even, and this could be the child almost singing like a siren, if you ask me. Really beautiful, yet also haunting in the whole context of the song, and really eerie in that sense, if you ask me. And I know you do. Great song, and I'd also say a great way to end the album, although Hallo Mann isn't really representative when it comes to the other songs on the record, I wouldn't say, because, you know, it's a little more symphonic than most of them, even though the whole album isn't really a symphonic album in comparison to the likes of, you know, Reise Reise, for instance, which is highly symphonic, which is also one of the reasons why I love it, but a really, really cool song, and like I said at the beginning of this video, a really interesting mixture of eerie melodies and eerie atmosphere, and you're feeling uncomfortable listening to it. The song sounds heavy without really having heavy guitars in it, for instance. I don't know if you know what I mean, but I do know that I really like this one, and I hope you have enjoyed this video too. If so, feel free to let me know by, for instance, leaving a like, which is always welcome, always helpful to the YouTube algorithm, also leaving a comment, sharing my videos with others on social media, for instance, or with your friends who might also be into Rammstein and who want to find out, well, what are those songs actually about? What is Till Lindemann singing? Of course, it's all my personal interpretation when it comes to the meaning of the lyrics, but I can, well, actually try to really translate the German lyrics quite faithfully to the original words and meanings. So yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you in another Rammstein video soon, because of course, just because this was the last video about the album and all the songs on it, doesn't mean that I will stop making Rammstein videos. There are many more songs to talk about, so let's do that in the future. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. I'm your Vlog Dave. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal. Rock on. With Rammstein, for instance.